Well, bowling fans, we're back. AMF Bowlero, the site, the 9th annual Junior Hall of Fame tournament, Joey. A great event. We had 89 teams enter as youth doubles teams. They get paired up with an adult celebrity or Hall of Fame member. We've got the Scratch Division finals on today. We had 23 teams in the Scratch Division. We're down to our top 3, and there is no clear-cut favorite, especially when you look at the quality of the 3 adult players in this match. Tom Fettig, Andy Mills, and PBA champion Mark McDowell.
Right. If there's an underdog, it's Andy Mills, and he's one of the best up-and-coming young players in the state.
Yeah, the matches you'll see on TV today, 2-game total pin Baker matches. They're bowling on a special condition for this Junior Hall of Fame tournament. It's not a house pattern. The bowlers are going to have to work to get strikes, have a quality spare game. Bowlers are out there practicing right now. We'll be back with that opening match from AMF Bowlero in just a couple of minutes. Make sure you stay tuned.
Live, on demand, worldwide, Extra Frame is always on. It's the online bowling channel. Watch live qualifying rounds and match play from every PBA Tour stock and every PBA 50 Tour event on your big screen, PC, mobile phone, or tablet. Archived nationally televised shows and content is available 24/7. Extra Frame is always on. Subscribe now at www.extraframe.tv.
Providing premier equipment sales and services to Wisconsin bowlers since 1973. Check out our Wall of Fame and our current specials at bpsmilwaukee.com. After 23 teams were knocked down to the top 4, the Junior Hall of Fame stepladder finals started with Team Bears taking on Team Fettig in a 2-game total pin match. Team Fettig started off with marks in the first 4 frames to give their team an early lead. While for Team Bears, Dave Bears struggled with carry. While Adam Richa and Matty Brandos struggled with getting to the pocket. Team Bears' struggles let Team Fettig get out to an early 42-pin lead. In Game 2 of the total pin match, Matty Brandos and Dave Bears put together an early double to try to get their team close. But for Team Fettig, 4 in a row between the 3rd and 6th frames extended their lead from Game 1. Team Bears finished with the flurry, with Matty Brandos and Dave Bears striking in the 9th and 10th frames. But in the end, Team Fettig advances to the semifinal match with a 390 to 333 2-game victory. We'll be back with our semifinal match between teams captained by Tom Fettig and Andy Mills after this short break. Why do we have so many of our televised tournaments at Castle Lanes? Because we love being part of the wild side of bowling. If you're ready to get in touch with your wild side, go to castlelanes.com. Semi-final match, 2-game total pins here for the 2015 Junior Hall of Fame. Team Fennig versus Team Mills. Here lanes 21 and 22 at AMF Bowlero. And Joey, man, we've seen quite a few times over the years in this Junior Hall of Fame tournament. Tom Fennig leading his team.
Yeah, familiar face, Hall of Famer. Excellent inside game, a lot of power. Nice opening shot.
That's the way to do it. Get that strike on the board early for your team. Bowling on the Junior Hall of Fame pattern, special pattern for this event, modified house pattern, so it's not sport compliant, but you have to make good shots. We were watching bowlers today. They got a little fast at their speed. Seem to leave the 3.79 for lefties, 2.810 for righties. And lots of shots that were going through the nose seem to get broken up, so your better bet was missing a little bit to the left. Another bowler likes to play the inside line, Andy Mills, and he slow loops it into the pocket for his team's first strike.
Yeah, Andy's one of my favorite West Coast bowlers. Gets up on his toes a little bit, but he comes through the ball so sweet. Soft hand at the bottom.
Andy from La Crosse. Tyler Cook here from Sussex for Team Fennig. Pretty conventional style here, Joey.
We'll soon see. He's 16 years of age. Cold drink of water. Good release. And kind of a bad break on the mix.
You see that a lot of times with the bowlers with higher ball speeds nowadays. The head pin gets off the sideboard on a light hit, and it gets back off the sideboard so quick. If you watch the replay, it blocks the 5-pin from getting over into the 7-pin zone. So sometimes excessive speed or a little extra speed that these bowlers can use to kick a 10-pin out sometimes hurts the carry on light hits.
Well, it can, and it just said, not enough speed can, a nice little tickle on that 7-pin. When you don't get enough speed, you don't quite get that messenger or mix that a higher speed player can see. So.
Yeah, it's always finding that fine line between good ball speed and good revolutions. We always talk about how players match up. Here's a young man that's matched up quite well over the last couple of years. Had some great years in high school bowling and at junior gold. Tyler Sheehy out of Sun Prairie.
All right, I think what players look for is to have their ball speed and rev rate match. In other words, they don't want to be typically known as a speed dominant player or even a rev dominant player. You want your ball speed to match, meaning if you're firm with speed, you should have a little higher rev rate than someone softer with speed.
And we talked about it right at the beginning of this match. The bowlers seemed to get it a little right. It didn't have the recovery they were looking for, and the 2.810 for Tyler Sheehy.
Tyler solid at the line, comes through the ball with that soft hand, good follow through. Fundamentals look very strong.
Yes, indeed, and I think he's thinking about a ball change already. Not happy with the reaction of that ball from practice as we watch him fully cover that 2.8, but that's a pretty much impossible split lead. You probably see it made once every 200 times it's left on the lane.
Right, but if Tyler's going to make a move, now's the time, because you're only going to get 3 shots in this game, and if he threw it as well as he can throw it and it didn't respond, you should make a ball change.
Our only lefty on this show, Zach Neiman, comes up a little bit high there and lucky to break up a split, just leaving a 10-pin.
Zach, 18 years of age, bowls at Sussex Bowl.
And you see that very often a lot of times. You've seen it, especially at the recent U.S. Open on that telecast where you had Ryan Simonelli playing farther outside. You watched all the righties a little bit deeper. Lefties always seem to have a little bit of a different look on the lane. Whether it's where the lefty track is, it's usually a little more outside on the lanes, around first arrow.
And I would think the left side of the lane gets so much less play. There's less built-in friction from use. And I'm sure that's the reason most lefties are slightly further outside.
You know, and a lot of the parents who've been playing in that Flat Earth League at Alpine Lanes on Monday nights, usually, as the only lefty in the league, a little bit farther to the left than I see where the righties are at on the right side.
Well, we did have another lefty practice on our lanes after league, Tom Hafes, Chris Hafes' father, and he saw us struggling during league and wanted to give it a test himself, and he saw exactly how tough they really are.
Yeah, when you have a league where 6'10 and 6'01 are your 2 high scores to that, you know you're bowling on some pro-level conditions as us league hacks get out there and try to give us our best shot.
Yeah, U.S. Open type conditions, to be more exact, and we move pairs every game, which obviously makes it more challenging yet. You don't see that too often, back-to-back 2-8-10s.
No, especially by teammates here with Chad Dembski and Tyler Shee, I'm sure they're going to be talking things over during the commercial break after frame number 4 to get themselves back into the pocket. Get themselves down early by 22 pins to Team Fenning, with Tom Fenning stepping up on his team's fourth.
Tommy using the ball with a little bit of surface, grit on it, and playing that deep inside line, but a little softer speed than his right-handed counterpart.
Gets the mix up nicely, gets all 10 down. Good shot there. And once again, Toys for Tots going on. Collection centers at every Toys R Us location, or if you want to stop by Motion Plus Lanes, they're always happy to take your Toys for Tots contributions. They have that big outing there. December 5th and 6th, big 9-pin tap tournament. Lots of fun, big fundraiser, one of the biggest in southeastern Wisconsin for Toys for Tots. So you can always stop by, say hi to Carrie and Gene Catania. They'll take your toy donations, and a great shot to get in the commercial break there from Andy Mills. Joe Saran will be back with the second half of game number 1, 2-game total pin semifinal from AMF Bowlero for the 2015 Junior Hall of Fame tournament in just a moment. Four frames into our match, semifinal. Game 1 of 2, 2-game total pins here from the Junior Hall of Fame. For Team Fenning, Tyler Cook heading off the 5th frame for his team in these Baker matches.
Still anybody's game at this juncture. I was going to say he definitely adjusted his line from coming a little light the first time up there, but he'll take that crossover.
Absolutely, especially because it adds to your lead. Now up to 32 pins for Team Fenning over Team Mills, and gets a nice break. 3-pin off the wall on that crossover hit into the 6 and 10, taking it out. And this could be where the match could either end early, or they still give themselves a chance here with Tyler Sheehy and Chad Dembski stepping up in their team's 5th and 6th frames. Both bowlers coming off of 2-8-10 leaves.
Right, but he made a good shot, but different ball in hand. Definitely read the pattern better. Snapped that 10 out of there.
Yeah, not as far right overall with the shot. Kept it well in control on that back end. And you watch the replay here. Just eases in the pocket. 6-pin does the job on the 10, as we like to see on those half-pocket hits. And now Zach Neiman, our lone lefty on the telecast today. So if he makes good shots, he should have that left side well under control.
Reasonably direct from the outside line and pretty as a picture.
Yeah, playing it right down about 3rd, 4th board. With no projection to the left, that lets that ball get to the end of this Junior Hall of Fame pattern. Start to read up. And not a lot of snap on that ball. It's just a nice, aggressive early roll all the way up and through the pocket to take all 10 pins down.
Well, and on a pattern such as this, you really don't want to see a skid snap reaction anyway, because that just increases your launch angles through the front, whereas a slower, more gradual motion like Chad just threw here tends to get the job done just as well.
So, big string of strikes going for Team Mills to keep themselves in this game after those opens in the 2nd and 3rd frames. Only down by 22 pins to Team Fenning, but that's just simply a single pin spare in the middle of a string, and you're back in this match.
Tommy's 2 for 2. Stays with the same ball. Hand underneath. Good roll. Can't throw it any better than that, Phil.
I always like Tom's form for years, how he gets that wrist cocked under it towards the top of the swing, but as it starts to come down, it releases back nice and easy through the shot. Gets plenty of rotation to do the job of the 10 pins at the end of the lane. And now the purple stalker, Andy Mills, looking to keep his team within 22 pins. You can see very relaxed at the start. Keeps that wrist to the outside of the ball, but lets him drop into the shot. Up and through. He's not happy with it.
No, he kind of twirled it a little bit, but they still have that heavy roll on the ball. Sometimes when you twirl it, it kind of spins down there and deflects quite a bit upon entry, but Andy, not too much deflection on that one.
No, slices right between the 8 and 9. You look at there, he's not happy with his footwork. Stays behind the foul line, though, and goes, hey, I got all 10 down. Let's take it and go to our next shot. Tyler Cook here in his team's 8th frame for Team Fennig. Much better than the last shot he had and gets all 10 down.
Perfectly done. We're seeing a strike fest here.
Yeah, these bowlers getting used to the TV lights, used to the pattern. But they've made great shots all day to get to this position on TV. Getting through the field of 24 scratch 3-person teams here at the Junior Hall of Fame tournament. Of course, there were 89 total teams, 66 teams in the handicap division, so lots of scholarship money, over $10,000 total given away by Shannon Lubinsky and the Junior Hall of Fame staff and volunteers today, and a great shot again by Tyler Sheehy. He's shown the tournament experience that these bowlers get in other events, such as Junior Gold, other big youth tournaments around the area. It pays off when they get under the TV lights.
Well, it does, and you can't buy that experience. You must experience it to gain the knowledge and wisdom and handle pressure.
Looking to get the lead, back out the 32 pins for Team Fennig. Zach Neiman steps up. Looks decent out of his hand. Wow, and that just revved up a little bit early. Maybe he grabbed it a little too hard on the bottom.
Well, that's it. If your hand's not in a relaxed state at release point, the tendency is to pull it slightly, and may have just pulled it a board or so inside his line, and when you're playing that direct, it'll show down lane. But he has a makeable spare.
Definitely, as you mentioned, Joey, that direct angle, you just miss a board inside to the right, and that's going to change how quickly that ball reacts at the end of the pattern and what kind of angle it gets going through the pins. And never an easy spare with that 2-4-7-8, but he covers it up perfectly.
There's a few ways to make it and many more ways to miss it.
Oh, an 18-pin lead for Team Fennig right now. After 8.5 frames, Chad Dembski can step up here, knock that deficit for his team down to 8 pins.
So, yeah, we are in the 9th frame, and it's pretty much do or die time. Chad, I believe, Chad threw a great shot last time.
Well, you want to keep yourself close. They're going to switch lanes for game 2 of this match. It's 2 games total pins, and he lets it out way too far to the right again, and you can see all the oil that's outside on this Junior Hall of Fame pattern is not going to allow a largely errant shot to come back to the pocket. And this is no easy spare at this point in time in the match. The 1, 2, 4, and 8.
Typically you want to cross over on the conversion, meaning hit left of the head pin. Sounds easy.
Well, you think, 150 years ago when they came up with the game of 10 pins and they put the alignment in that triangle, that they knew how many problems those back pins would give on spare leaves like this with the railroad. I mean, it's evil, and that's one of the problems right there is you want to make sure you're focusing on getting that 8 pin out, but
if that ball was a 1/4 inch more to the left, he'd have a conversion.
Unfortunately, though, the ball too heavy on the 1 and 2 goes straight through. 2 pin has no chance on the 4. Ball gets the 8, and now a big opening that Tom Fenning's wasting no time stepping up here. 245, his team's maximum, and pretty much guaranteeing at least a 30-pin lead going into game 2 if he can strike out, and he's been nothing but flush so far, Joey.
Yeah, Tommy stuck the landing on that, did not fall right. Great follow-through, plenty of power.
I mean, we've seen Tom in at least 2 of the 3 previous Junior Hall of Fame TV finals we've done here from AMF Bowlero, and he wears that champion shirt he has on there right now. If you went as an adult, they award you that Junior Hall of Fame champion shirt, and he wears that every time out here. Lets people know he means business, and boy, the way he's throwing strikes right now, it's might be time for these kids to start cashing those scholarship awards pretty soon.
Yeah, Tommy definitely making us older folks proud.
Yeah, Tom in his 50s, mid-50s, and boy, he's just been so competitive in so many different tournaments around southeastern Wisconsin and all kinds of city and state events as well. Looking to finish off big.
A little softer roll or revs off the hand, yet he still carries the messenger into the 10.
The authoritative messenger as it came back across the pin deck. And right now, 44-pin lead for Team Fennig. And that's assuming Andy Mills here doesn't get a double in the 10th frame. It's going to be at least 30 pins for Team Fenning getting into game 2 as they switch lanes. Looks pretty good out of his hand. Can't get the 6 to do the job in the 10, however.
Yeah, came in just a little behind the pocket, a little bit of deflection. And I think he liked that off his hand more so than the previous shot.
Yeah, he wasn't up on his toes, good balance. I mean, Andy's never been one to have his back leg on the ground for textbook form, but his balance is very good getting through the shots.
Youth does that for him. But as we saw in the replay, there was some deflection there, so evidently it just didn't clear his hand the way Andy typically does have the ball clear his hand at release.
Andy, 26 years old, member of the Nicholas J's Pro Shop team that won the USBC Open Team Championship back in 2012. And he wanted to thank his Pro Shop driller, Nick Heilman, from out in lacrosse as well.
Good young bunch of kids out there holding the Wisconsin tradition of USBC titles.
Looking to finish this off, stay within 44. It's going to be a 46-pin deficit for Team Mills against Team Fenning going to game 2 of this 2-game total pin match from AMF Bowlero. Join Joe Serra and I back for that second game in just a couple of minutes. Eileen's Bowling Buddy, used by high school and college coaches and members of the PBA Tour to train, warm up, and rehab. Get all the information at eileensbowlingbuddy.com. Game 1 in the books. Andy Mills' team down by 46 pins after the first game. The Bowlers switch lanes. Team Mills down lane 21. Team Fenning on 22. And 46 pins, not insurmountable, but it's going to take a lot of strikes for the Mills team to get back in this match, Joey.
All right, and we'll see if the individual lanes have any bearing on the outcome of the match. Definitely more strikes were thrown on the left lane. And Andy starts off with a nice high flush strike.
Well, lane 21 seemed to, watching the opening match that we taped the highlights of earlier and watching some of the other bowling during the day, 21 seemed to be hooking a little bit more than 22. And it hooked earlier and a little more overall, so the ball motion a little bit different. So let's see if the bowlers make the adjustment. They didn't get any practice during the commercial break. They just simply switched lanes. Tom Fetting, well, no problem switching lanes there. He did play that a little bit tighter.
Well, he did. He either did that intentionally or he just missed a little inside of his target line. But that right lane does have a tendency to go a touch longer. You're right. The ball doesn't face up to the pocket quite as quickly.
So let's see if he passes that pearl of wisdom along to his teammates. Tyler Shee stepping up here, made a nice adjustment after a second frame open in his first game to throw 2 strikes on the board for his team. And you can't throw it any better than that, Joey.
Tyler's got a nice, solid game. I think we're going to be seeing quite a bit of him in the near future.
Oh, and he recently committed to the UW Whitewater Men's Club Bowling Program, so they've been having a strong 2015 season so far and looking to get their way back to the Intercollegiate Team Championships in 2016 as well, so Tyler will be a part of that program beginning in the fall of 2016.
Speaking of Tyler Cook, outside line, down and in, definitely, I don't know if he got it off his hand as cleanly as he had been, but there was definitely some hang down lane.
Yeah, that ball you can see, he was trying to chug, turn over the top, and whether it's a little bit of carry down or just the way the topography of the lane is, definitely gets some extra unwanted length on that shot and leaves the 1, 2, 8, and 10.
Stays with his strike ball. Goes a little further right with his feet. Kind of came up and out of it. Almost made it, but 9 out.
Almost got a lucky bounce out of the pit, but that already cuts into the lead. And the lead was formerly 46 pins down to 24 for Team Fenning. If Chad Dembski can get a strike here for Team Mills, Team Fenning's going to be down to 14 pins.
Yeah, we see it change in a hurry, don't we?
Yeah, you leave an open frame, your opponent starts to string strikes, and 30-pin swings very easily happen in this sport.
Chad definitely wants to make a good shot here to keep that string alive.
Yeah, only one strike in the opening game. Gets that one to sit up, almost leaves a solid 7-pin.
Nice heavy roll on the ball, kept his hand behind it through the release. Did not miss wide.
So both Tyler Sheehy and Chad Dempsey want to thank their coach John Brudink from out of Prairie Lanes and Sun Prairie. Both bowlers bowl in that center. They always have solid youth programs there, and that's one of the host centers for the 2016 men's state tournament, along with Boulevard Lanes for 2016. So
Nice shot by Zach. Still staying on that board 3 or 4, straight down and in.
working line, why change it? His one errant shot was just a little bit of a pull to the right. Still left himself a makeable spare. Nice game. Andy Mills looking for the front 4 for his team.
And he did come light a couple times on that right lane. His opening shot on the left lane, high flush. Stays with the inside line. Another one, high flush. Boy, the game looks easy sometimes, doesn't it, Phil?
Yes, it does, and that knocks down Team Pfennig's lead to 4 pins. It's amazing how quickly these leads change. Tom Pfennig, though, for his team, can step up, get that lead back out to 14 pins.
Well, all time he does is strike so far, and he should keep that string alive here.
Nice and direct, splits the 8-9 perfectly as we get in the commercial break for Game 2 of this 2-game total pin match. Semi-final of the 2015 Junior Hall of Fame will continue after this short break from AMF Bowlero in Wauwatosa. Eileen's Bowling Buddy, used by high school and college coaches and members of the PBA Tour to train, warm up, and rehab. Get all the information at eileensbowlingbuddy.com. Why do we have so many of our televised tournaments at Castle Lanes? Because we love being part of the wild side of bowling. If you're ready to get in touch with your wild side, go to castlelanes.com. Well, started this game of the 2-game total pin match with a 46-pin lead for Team Pfennig. 32 pins of that lead now gone. With Team Mills starting with the front 4 and Tyler Sheehy stepping up in frame number 5 for his team, looking to knock that lead back down to only 4 pins. Easy 5 steps to the line, easy out of the hand.
Got a little wide down lane, as you saw, and the ball labored a little bit, making it back. Leaves a very makeable spare here.
2-pin, single pin, we'll probably see him go relatively straight at that. See that ball just labored a little bit coming around the corner. It was, as you mentioned, Joey, a little too far to the right. And with this not being a house-type pattern with the little oil all the way across the lane, not going to get the recovery these kids might see in their Saturday morning youth leagues today.
Right, but as light as it hit in the pocket, he's still got very good pin action to carry the dinner bucket out and just left a single pin. Much easier spare conversion.
Absolutely. And still keeps that lead within 2 marks. 15 pins the lead for Team Pfennig after 5.5 frames. Tyler Cook looking to get an extension back on that lead for his team. Bottom of the 5th frame. Watch that left arm, very stiff, goes out in front of him. Nowadays, where you see a lot of bowlers rotate the shoulders, the arm goes to the back, and unfortunately for Tyler that time, comes up light, and once again we see a 2-8-10 combination on lane 22.
Well, that's it. Then further enforcing the fact that 22 is going longer. He missed the headpin's first attempt and just tickled it the second attempt.
Well, it would have been better just barely missing the headpin once again. This spare almost impossible to convert.
Unless, almost got it the hard way with the 10 coming off the sideboard.
10 tried to hug on the back of the pin deck and flipping over, but it ends up being about 4 or 5 inches too short. Watch it on the replay. We saw Mika Koivunemi make that at the PBA League last year in Maine, but he had the 10-pin slide across the deck after the 2 hit it and take the 8-pin out. Chad Dembski now can get, for the first time this match, his team into the lead. You can get a mark here, and that's the best mark to get with a strike.
That is our favorite, where the 5 gets blown to the right, which is a working, mixing bowling ball.
Pardon me, match is dead even right now after that strike.
It actually went a little bit left first, then went to the right. No matter. We'll take any kind of strike we can get.
Zach Neiman 1 for 1 so far this game. Looking to get another one on the board to keep this match even. He does happen to finish in a tie. It's an 8th, 9th, and 10th frame roll-off, and great shot there by Zach Neiman.
Yeah, Zach is liking what he's seeing on this right lane, same as he had on the left lane.
Watch that ball just face up, split the 8 and the 9.
So years ago, the top pros used to say, oh, the ball has to hit 4 pins. Say for a righty, it would hit the head pin, the 3 pin, the 5 pin, and the 9 pin. Nowadays, you hear more talk about you want to see the ball contact 5 pins. The 1, 3, 5, and 8, 9.
Yeah, if you're splitting that 8-9, you're getting maximum work out of that bowling ball with very little deflection. And then we go another one, as you mentioned, Joey, splitting the 8-9 for Andy Mills.
We saw it perfectly. In other words, with the old hard rubber, urethanes, plastic bowling balls, there was inherently more deflection. Right here, Andy's 0 deflection, and the ball finishes directly behind the 5 pin. And you couldn't do that as easily with the older equipment due to the small cores and less aggressive cover stocks.
Yeah, that combination of core and cover stock is where all the power comes from, and that's the first real errant shot we've seen from Tom Fennig this afternoon. Comes up high, lucky to leave just the 6 pin, but now his team going to be down in the match for the first time today.
Tommy's first non-strike, looked like he got maybe just a touch careful, a little slow, easy to happen, and he makes the spare, no problem.
Lead's now shifted to Teen Mills. Should be an 11-pin lead, 10-pin lead, pardon me, overall in the match. Could go to 20 pins here if Tyler Sheehy can step up and get 3 in a row for his team in the 8th. 4 300 games for Tyler Sheehy. High series in his short career of 823. His favorite bowler, Chris Barnes. Let's watch the Pro Tour, and hopefully we see Chris back after the first of the year, still recovering from back surgery, and won't see him at the World Series of Bowling, unfortunately, this year, but know he's looking to get back in time for the DHC Japan Invitational in early January. And one of those many events you can catch with myself or Mike Jakubowski, Jeff Goodger, Ron Hickland, Tim Berg, all members of the Extra Frame crew. If you don't have Extra Frame already, go to extraframe.tv. You drop the E off Extra, XTRA, extraframe.tv, and get yourself a subscription, especially at the big World Series of Bowling, the best 2 weeks of bowling on the PBA Tour every year. Tyler Cook stepping up, gets himself back in the pocket for a strike.
Much better shot. Kind of softened up his speed a little bit. Got around that ball, read the pattern. So they have a glimmer of hope here. But Team Mills can pretty much control their own destiny with these last 2 frames.
Yeah, working on the string here. If Chad Dembski can step up, get his team string out to 4 in a row, that would get the lead out to 30 pins. That would have to take a big error by Andy Mills in the 10th frame to lose this match. But we've seen it before a couple of years ago. Nate Mikulowski went 4 through the middle on a shot in the 10th frame when his team could have locked up the match here at Junior Hall of Fame and let the other team squeak by.
I'm sure Nate is still having nightmares about that shot because Nate, one of the better controlled players out there.
No doubt, PBA regional player. Nate Mikulowski has had some success on the regional tour, and now here's the shot of the day from Zach Neiman.
Nate learned all those skills from Dad Frank. Journal Sentinel Times champion last year with Jenny Wonders on the girls' side.
And that's going to be pretty much match over, even with the conversion for Zach Neiman. Leaving that 3-7 combo coming up light.
Zach's first errant shot on this right lane.
Ball just lags coming off the end of the pattern, maybe a hair bit left. Or if it didn't come off his hand real clean, sometimes you change that axis of rotation on your release just a little bit. It makes a big difference down lane.
Zach has a high series of 731 with 3 279 games to his credit.
With that open frame, mathematically impossible for Team Fenning to come back, even with Andy Mills not having thrown a ball in the 10th frame yet. But Andy looking to go out big here. Possible 279 this game for his team. And you know he wants to finish off strong. There's a big opponent in the championship match captaining his team. 1992 PBA Player of the Year and Firestone Tournament Champions winner that year, Mark McDowell, captaining his team in a championship match.
Andy opens with a strike in the 10th, and Andy could be a great spokesperson for the bowling ball cleaner called Purple Stuff from our friend Ron Hickland. Something new on the market that's kind of taken bowling by storm in the last few months.
Yeah, a different way of cleaning the bowling ball. It's a liquid, but it does a little different job on things. And
available for use during competition, not before or after.
so you can always make sure if you get a scuff mark on the ball or something, you can clean it up, because that way, I don't know if I'll guarantee taking out 10 pins like Andy Mills did right there, but it's been on some of his Facebook posts.
Well,
Get rid of that 10 pin.
It may make a difference in the marginal release that is going to leave a soft 10, and instead it carries the 10, or a blower 7 that it helps get rid of. I mean, any extra strike is worth the investment, in my opinion.
Absolutely, especially a good ball cleaner. And a good ball cleaner, it's going to let your equipment last longer as well.
Exactly. And he can finish with a strike for a fine 279, and he gets it done.
Well, usually in Baker team games, you hear some of the bowlers kind of go, if they get a 279, whoever doesn't get the strike would have to buy lunch or dinner, so it looks like Tyler Shee is going to be buying dinner for that team, having left that 2-pin in the 5th frame. But another great showing, captaining a team here by Tom Fenning at the Junior Hall of Fame. Always seems to make these shows. Gets a lucky strike first one on the 10th.
Well, no wonder he strikes all the time. He carries it no matter where he hits the pocket. Just kidding, Tommy.
But a nice chunk of scholarship money going home with his teammates Tyler Cook and Zach Neiman taking home $350 of scholarship money apiece. And hey, if Andy Mills can carry in a messenger, so can Tom Fenning.
Tom's had a wide variety of strikes today. So he's still playing that right lane a little tighter than the left lane, and we'll see if he can let this one flicker on his fill shot for a finishing game of 181. Actually, a lot of good shots that game.
Yes, there were, and it's going to be team captain by Andy Mills going against a team captain by Mark McDowell in our championship match here from AMF Bowlero for the 2015 Junior Hall of Fame. Join us after this short break for that championship match.
Live, on demand, worldwide, Extra Frame is always on. It's the online bowling channel. Watch live qualifying rounds and match play from every PBA Tour stock and every PBA 50 Tour event on your big screen, PC, mobile phone, or tablet. Archived nationally televised shows and content is available 24/7. Extra Frame is always on. Subscribe now at www.extraframe.tv.
Providing premier equipment sales and services to Wisconsin bowlers since 1973. Check out our Wall of Fame and our current specials at bpsmilwaukee.com. Championship match, 2-game total pins here between Team Mills and Team McDowell. Team McDowell, leading qualifiers today, had their choice of lanes coming on. And after that big 279 game that Team Mills just shot a lane 21, Joey, I would have thought maybe they would have moved them over to 22 for the first game of this match, but Team McDowell is taking lane 22. Team Mills starting on 21, where they just had a 279.
Yeah, well, we know lanes can change quickly from one game to the next, but yes, it defies logic to a certain extent.
Yeah, and Team Mills didn't get any practice while Team McDowell got their shadow balls during the commercial break. Apparently didn't affect the line Andy Mills is using at all, because he splits that 8 and 9 pin beautifully. And now, well, if we had another half hour to the show, we could list all of Mark McDowell's achievements in bowling over the last 30 years, but your 1992 PBA Player of the Year and Firestone Tournament of Champions winner that year.
Timeless style and timeless result as he knocks 10 down using a purple ball.
I believe that's the new Covert Revolt from Motive Bowling. Saw quite a few of those out at the PBA Fall Classic in Las Vegas while I was on the call for Extra Frame, and a lot of Motive staffers really liking that piece of equipment. Not real snappy, just a big strong roll when it comes off the end of the pattern, and McDowell using that to his advantage starting off this game.
Yeah, it's designed for medium and heavier oil, but a smooth motion, as you said. Definitely what these lanes ask for. You don't want skid snap when they're a little bit touchy.
Yeah, and you see bowlers that come into your pro shop often, and they always want that hockey stick, like go long and snap hard on the back end, but a lot of times as the condition gets tougher, that's not the ball reaction you're looking for to maximize the number of pins you're knocking down on the shot.
Exactly. Little mistakes on your part with speed or release can be magnified or intensified when you use a skid snap reaction. It can be impressive for hitting power, but it can be death where you're leaving many, many unmakeable spares.
Well, a good start there for Zach Hansen. Team McDowell double on the board, as well as Team Mills. Zach, strong roll in the pocket, and that head pin comes off the sideboard and just knocks that 4-pin silly. So Chad Dembski steps up. 300 games to his credit, 817 his highest series. Part of the Division II state champs from Marshall High School last year. You can see why as he gets the 9-pin out late on that shot.
And gets that forward roll going again. Keeps the ball very controlled when it comes off the pattern.
And even with a very slight entry angle, the ball rolling so hard, no deflection rolled past the 9-pin. He was lucky to get something to come off the right side of the pin deck and take that 9-pin out. And Matthew Cherney stepping up here. Team McDowell, that ball's a little right, and wow, he got one to come back real hard. Must have been a little slow on speed. And leaves the 4, 6, and 7 combination, and this is...
And Matt definitely puts a handful in it using a rotogrip haywire. Very strong, solid, but more of an arcing solid, I would say. Not as snappy as some balls.
Right now, just get the 2, keep the count close, and stay close in the match. Slides by that 4-pin, though, and when you're working on a double, you hope that 1 or 2 pins don't come back to haunt you later, because...
Well, that's it. And a 4, 6, 7, you're not going to make anyway. Why not just take the 2, which would mean 4 pins?
Yeah, instead of 55 in the third frame, if you would have gotten 4 and 7, it's only 53 for Team McDowell. As Andy Mills steps up in his team's 4th frame, looking for 4 in a row. And another hot start on lane 21 for his team. Gets that ball to hold nicely, and he made a little bump left there after his previous shot.
Yeah, and Andy not afraid to chase the pattern left to stay in the oil, so the ball prevents it from hooking too early. Definitely finishing right behind the 5-pin.
And these Hall of Famers and celebrities that bowl with the youth bowlers in the Junior Hall of Fame tournament, they are throwing tons of strikes today to get their teams into position here. $700 scholarship prize in this match for the winning team. And McDowell, what a great shot to get us in the commercial break for this opening game of the 2-game Total Pin Championship match, the 2015 Junior Hall of Fame. Join Joe Sorar and I back from AMF Bowlero in just a couple of moments. Team Mills out to an early 37-pin lead through the open frame in the 3rd frame by Team McDowell. Tyler Shee looking to stretch that lead out. If he can get his team's string out to the first 5.
He may have bumped inside a little bit too, taking Andy Mills' advice.
It's one thing that you're watching. You're watching these celebrities. You're watching the Mark McDowell and Andy Mills and Tom Fennig, and they're watching each one of these youth player shots, and if they see something, they're making that suggestion to the player going, hey, maybe you might want to bump your feet. Maybe you might want to move your target a little bit or change your speed. And that's really the key communication for these youth bowlers to take advantage of how good their celebrities or their Hall of Famers are to get to the position they're in so far today. And Zach Hansen just over the top of that shot badly, lucky to leave a 3-pin.
Yeah, just an errant shot, and obviously the kids are going to throw more errant shots than our experienced players. But you're right. That's the beauty of team bowling is you can help your teammates both read lanes and maybe fix some of their physical ailments at times if they're coming up at the line or turning their hand early.
Once again, I want to thank High Five Gear for their sponsorship this season. During all of our singles events here on Time Warner Cable SportsChannel, if a bowler strikes in the 5th frame, that bowler will receive a $25 High Five Gear gift certificate, good for any custom jersey that High Five Gear offers. So I want to thank Todd Molbeck and his staff at High Five Gear for their support again this season during all of our singles tournaments, as well as sponsorship of other events during the season. And first errant shot for Team Mills this game. Chad Dembski comes up high.
That came in just a little steep on the pocket. And again, it's possible his teammates are just burning up that lane a little bit, and maybe Chad didn't chase that pattern in a little bit, but he was high flush his last shot.
And it doesn't take much on these flatter patterns
Well,
for a line
with
to
their,
change a
not
bit.
with their rev rate,
No.
exactly. A lower rev rate player won't see the changes near as quickly as the kids that are 400 rev rate or higher.
Yeah, I mean, in our Monday Night Flat Earth League, I'm sure you followed some pairs where Robert Peschel and Nick Santacola were on the pair before you, and that's an instant 4 or 5 board move to the left for you
it can
on the
be.
approach.
They remove the oil rather quickly, and
Those 500 rev rate players, what are you going to do with them other than watch them throw lots of strikes?
well, that's it. You do want to watch players that are with you on your pair as well as the pair you're moving to, and especially if there's someone using urethane, because that can create more oil carry down, and you'll have the adverse effect of the ball not finishing as strong.
Yeah, that time you see Matthew Cherney, you saw his thumb pointing down on his follow-through. Came over the top of that shot, and usually when you do that, that ball's left out of your hand, axis of rotation change, and that helps it go slicing past the head pin.
Right, but well, we know Matt can get it done. He's had a 799 series. He's had 300 games. He began bowling at age 14, so he's only a 6-year veteran.
Yeah, and right now, after seeing what we saw in our semifinal match, Team McDowell just wants to keep it reasonably close. They're down 47 pins right now to Team Mills. Team Fennig 46-pin lead after game 1, and Team Mills came back, storming back in game 2 at their 279. So with lane 22 playing a little bit tougher, the 2 lanes, Team McDowell's kind of just in survival mode right now. Get off that lane and get on lane 21. And Andy gave that one a little extra on the bottom.
Yeah, 21 might be going away a little bit. We've seen back-to-back high pocket shots. And these bowlers throw enough quality shots to where we have to assume it's the lane, not them. And Andy, he liked that one off his hand.
So now he knows next time up, you know you're going to see him with those feet a little bit farther left than the approach in that previous shot. Good cover there by Andy, not giving any sticks away at this point in time in the match.
And Mark McDowell wants to send a shout out to his lovely wife Carrie and son Garrett, as well as his good friend Mark Allen with his son Riley.
And I believe Riley and Garrett both bowled today in this event as well. 89 youth doubles teams paired up with 89 Hall of Fame or celebrity bowlers between the scratch and handicap divisions in this event. And once again, Shannon Lubinsky and her Junior Hall of Fame staff of volunteers. Another great event, almost filling the house at Bowlero again this year.
As we witness a marginal shot by Mark McDowell, only author of 5 PBA titles and only 48 300 games.
Yeah, a couple USBC titles in there as well with his team now known as 11thframe.com with Jeff Riggles, Gail Myers, Steve Richter, and Mike Shady.
fact, I encourage our viewers and listeners to join the 11thframe.com, Jeff Riggle's blog on the internet. One way to stay up with some of the more enticing news in our sport.
Yeah, and you get Jeff's opinions thrown in there as well, what he thinks of things. So that's always good. It's not just the the black and white of what's going on in bowling. You get a few of his opinions on there as well, and take it for either agree with him or it's a great discussion point to keep the conversation going about what he's reporting.
Right, but Jeff's a pretty level-headed guy, open-minded, listens to all sides of a story before he comments. It's just a good read. 11thframe.com. And we'll see if Matthew can get back on the strike wagon here after a couple less than perfect shots.
Actually, Zach up right now.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Oh, geez, Zach way over the top of that shot. Almost got the break to take the 9-pin out. But
And Zach, an author of an 802 series and 3 300 games, wants to say hi to Mom Laura and Dad Ron, as well as Sister Jess. That could be Tess.
I think it's Jess.
But
I think
it
you're
could
right,
be
Jessica.
Jess.
Good spare there by Zach. And, gee, what a surprise. His favorite pro bowler now is Mark McDowell. I suppose after helping author only the second Baker 300 game in the history of this event during the semifinal round before we made TV, Mark, Zach, and Matthew putting a 300 game together to get themselves into that top qualifying spot.
You know who the author of the first Baker 300 game in the history of the USBC would be?
I believe that would be you, Roy Turner, and Mike Radmer.
You are correct, back in 1998.
And it was a little different Baker format for you gentlemen because you each bowled one shot in the 10th frame, correct?
That is correct. And we bowled on a team challenge lane condition at Fox Run Lanes in beautiful Wauwatosa. Somewhat challenging. Not as difficult as our Flat Earth League, but darn close.
Still putting up a Baker 300 game. Never the easiest thing to do, and I'm sure Mark felt plenty of pressure on the PBA Tour over his years and various other tournaments, but when you guys step up in that 12th shot, you got a couple other people counting on you, especially young men that have done the work to get you to that 12th shot. I'm sure the butterflies are flying for Mark a little bit.
And Matthew's favorite PBA players, Norm Duke and Mark McDowell.
Man, had a chance to knock a couple of pins off of Team Mills' lead right now. We can get a foundation frame strike on the board.
That was pretty. He bumped in big time, left on the approach, caught some head oil, sent the ball right, and as we see, that ball's got plenty of hitting power.
Well, and you saw his follow through that time. The shot before, when he went through the nose, the thumb was pointed down. That time the hand nice and relaxed, thumb pointed towards the ceiling. Strong roll on the ball. It's set up all the way through the pocket.
All right, and that's part of becoming a better bowler, is recognizing your bad shots so you can correct your next shot. In other words, when you throw a bad shot and it's because you turned early or your thumb went down, at least get the feel that you did that so you can correct it. If you never know what you're doing wrong, how do you fix it?
Exactly, and that's sometimes with that second set of eyes or a good coach you can go work on your game with on occasion always helps, especially if you're in a slump.
So I wonder if Andy Mills is a Minnesota Viking fan since he lives out that way.
I don't think so. I think he would definitely have to be a Packer fan. He's just one that's known to be very, I guess they call it color blocking with his shirt and pants choice. He has multiple pairs of brightly colored pants to go with all the jerseys he wears as
So
well.
he's got a little Kyle Troop in him.
A little bit, except he's more of the solids than any plaids or argyles. And 232 here. If Andy Mills can get that last strike, so that would give them at least a 31-pin lead going into the second game of this two-game total pin match. Even if Mark McDowell strikes out for his team's possible 211. Pardon me, so that'd be 21 pins if McDowell can strike
So
out.
definitely anyone's match at this point. And
Yeah.
we have to assume Mark is going to get at least one, which will give them at least a 199 game, but Mark's been high flush every shot. There's no reason to think he won't get all three. Composes himself, sets the ball waist high. Nice loose swing, accelerates through the release.
And that relaxed hand at the top of the swing. No extra effort going through that shot.
Well, that's it. The pins know when you get a little grabby, and They also know when your hand's nice and relaxed and they fall better.
Watch that ball mix up. 4 and the 5 get mixed together by the head pin. Still 2-11 out there for Team McDowell. And boy, 21 pins, that can disappear in one frame on an open for Team Mills next game. And they're moving to the tougher of the 2 lanes on lane 22. Getting off this pair with 200, or getting off this lane with 200, they gotta feel pretty confident right now for Team McDowell.
High flush, that was a big one. Mark really wanted that shot. Keeps them close within striking distance.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be a nice little talk between the teams during the break. Well, Mark's going to get his guys all set. He's going to remind them lane 21's hooking a little bit more than 22 and where they need to be. And I'm sure Andy's going to remind his guys, hey, they started off the day on lane 22, pardon me. Struggled early, but came back with strong finishes, and that's what they're going to need to do to try to take home this Junior Hall of Fame title.
Right, but with each game thrown on these lanes, the tighter lane, which is what Mark is on, becomes a little nicer, a little drier, and the hooking lane may hook too much.
We'll find out. 23-pin lead for Team Mills after one game of this 2-game total pin match. We'll be back with that second game of this championship for the Junior Hall of Fame in just a moment. Eileen's Bowling Buddy, used by high school and college coaches and members of the PBA Tour to train, warm up, and rehab. Get all the information at eileensbowlingbuddy.com. Game 2 of this 2-game total pin championship match, coming to you from AMF Bowlero for the 2015 Junior Hall of Fame tournament. Team McDowell down by 23 pins, but this has been the lane that's been playing a little softer all day long, and I don't think there's any lack of confidence for Team McDowell right now in this match.
Well, no, but he's realistic. He knows this is a new lane. He's going to have to read this lane differently if it is different from the previous. So he'll make sure this opening shot is as good as he can throw the ball.
He's a little farther left on the approach. About the same break point down lane, but using a little bit more lane oil.
It seemed like he might have thrown a little firmer as well to keep the ball on line.
Watch that ball. 5 slices into the 7. And the purple stalker, Andy Mills, looking to keep his team in the lead with an opening strike.
An approach very similar to Bob Handley of PBA folklore from years back.
Yeah, except Bob got under it a little bit more back in the day, but that's what you needed with urethanes and pancake weight blocks. That's what you need to do to create hook.
Right, Bob,
nowadays.
Yeah, Bob hit up on the ball. Andy kind of lifts, or doesn't lift, he rolls through the ball with his hand. But both very good players.
Absolutely.
Big shot here.
A little over the top again by Zach.
Yeah, just a touch and on the hooking lane. And I don't think Zach is as comfortable moving left. At least not yet.
Right. You watch that follow through again. You can just see when the bowlers are making a little bit of errant shots, you see that thumb kind of point either sideways or down a little bit on the follow through as they try to save the shot from going off target. And that one needs to hold on. He gets 2. But that's going to dig a bigger hole now. 35 pins down.
Yep, you're bowling against a team that does not make too many bad shots, and they throw lots of strikes. Tyler's going to try and get their opening double.
Tyler is down on lanes. Likes to go golfing, a little chilly for that this time of the year. Gets a big break there, almost a pocket 7-10. Lucky to take the 7 out, and we'll get to see the replay there as Tyler kind of blocked the shot at the pins, but watch the head pin go to the sideboard on the replay. Just get over and get that 10 pin out.
Did he throw that 5 behind the 7?
5 went behind the 7.
Plenty of power on that 7-10. Typically it goes in front of the 7.
So that ball McDowell definitely a lot of drive. Takes a scenic route at that 7-pin. Barely gets it down, but still a spare on the board. Still a 35-pin lead in this match for Team Mills, going for that $700 first place scholarship prize to the winning team. And Matthew Cherney here. He's had a couple errant shots, threw a nice shot in the 9th frame to set up his teammate Mark McDowell in the 10th to keep it within 20 or so pins. Cherney needs to bounce back off of his teammates open in the 2nd frame. And once again, gets a little soft at the bottom of the swing, and the ball revs up a little earlier through the face, and another 3-6.
Yeah, it didn't look as though he yanked it. It just read the lane a little too strong right there, about 5 feet too soon. So he'll have to move left, probably quite a bit further left than he was on the previous lane.
So stays with his strike ball, so he's going to flatten it out. Get there, and that's too flat. Goes behind the 3-pin, and back-to-back opens for Team McDowell, and a big hole to try to dig out of in 7 remaining frames.
Yeah, it is a big hole, and Mark's going to need some help from the supporting cast here.
Well, Chad Dembski stepping up. Chad, I want to thank his parents for all the support, and I want to thank his sister Allison for giving him all kinds of competition. Allison only going to be a sophomore this year, I believe, in high school bowling, and she's turning into one of the best young female high school players in the state. So she bowled here as well today in the Junior Hall of Fame, and you get 178 youth players in the same place. Weren't too many of them taking the day off here at AMF Bowlero. They were coming out and trying to win a chunk of over $10,000 in overall scholarship money and bonus prizes that were given out by Hammer Bowling and Vice Grips as well. And, well, when you get a chance to shut a match out, you don't want to return a favor by missing a single pin.
Well, no, and he didn't miss it by much, but definitely not quite far enough to the right.
Still a 34-pin lead for Team Mills. Mark McDowell here looking to get a base going for the rest of his team's game. Keeps that index finger spread in his grip to help him get around the ball nice and easy.
Just kind of rocks the ball a little bit before he takes his first step to get that swing nice and loose. Great follow through. That ball finished right behind the 8-pin.
Another great shot. And remember years ago, back around 91, 92, when Mark was the first bowler that used the Excalibur on TV, the first reactive resin ball?
I believe December of 91, he won the tournament. He was doing things with the ball no one has ever seen a PBA player do, and that includes Mark Ross. He could send the ball, I believe he was about 3rd arrow out to board 3, and it would just make a left turn and send the pins around like they were toothpicks.
Absolutely. Andy Mills gets himself a strike as we get in the commercial break. Last one of the day here from AMF Bowlero. Rest of our Game 2 championship match coming to you shortly. Make sure you stay tuned. Eileen's Bowling Buddy, used by high school and college coaches and members of the PBA Tour to train, warm up, and rehab. Get all the information at eileensbowlingbuddy.com. Why do we have so many of our televised tournaments at Castle Lanes? Because we love being part of the wild side of bowling. If you're ready to get in touch with your wild side, go to castlelanes.com. Only 6 frames of bowling remaining this afternoon to decide this 2015 Junior Hall of Fame title. And right now, Team McDowell with Zach Hansen stepping up needs to throw a lot of strikes to make up the big deficit. They're behind Team Mills. And that's a good start there for Zach Hansen.
Definitely one of Zach's better shots of the day and going to come at a better time.
Knocks the lead of Team Mills down to only 24 pins. And we've seen it before. We saw it in the opening game by Team Mills. They had a couple of opens. 2nd and 3rd frame by Tyler Sheehy and Chad Dembski. Ended up finishing strong that game and throwing 279 in the second game of their semifinal match. Coming off a 232 game 1 here. Looking to post another solid game on the board. Tyler Sheehy likes it. And he gets the messenger to take the 10-pin out. almost a repeat of that near pocket 710 he had in his second frame. Watch the replay. This time the 5 gets to the 7, and the head pin takes the 10 out.
Yeah, very similar shot. A little better pin action, a little more help on that 10.
And the lead back out to 34 pins for Team Mills with Matthew Cherney stepping up. Cherney struggling a little bit out here during the TV show. A little better off his hand.
Yeah, he definitely moved in where he needed to be. And when you throw a good shot like that and you don't quite get the right shape, you end up with a 210. Probably the wrong ball choice. Late to say it, but ball choice makes a big difference.
Yeah. Just got to go for it here. There's nothing gained by just getting a single pin account. Get yourself a little momentum as well, and that needs to get well left. It doesn't do it in a big open frame in the 6th. The Team McDowell now down 48 pins. Team Mills working on a couple of strikes, looking to get it out to a 3-bagger and a 58-pin lead. Chad Dembski can strike here. It's pretty much match over and championship going home with Andy Mills, Tyler Sheehy, and Chad Dembski. And I'm sure Chad knows he can make a quality shot here, wrap it up. How about that? Destroying the 4 and 5.
Great shot from Chad. Gives him a nice little turkey and control of the match.
That's a good bounce back shot. Had a good shot in the 3rd frame, but missed that 10 pin. Get a little confidence back under your belt. 58 pin lead with only 4 frames to go, and it's pretty much going to take striking out for Team McDowell and a couple of opens at least by Team Mills for Team McDowell to have any chance.
Marcus throwing all strikes, I believe, other than a fill shot. About as good as you can execute.
Ooh,
he did not like that off his hand.
Just gave it too much gas on the bottom that time. You can see he got the line a little bit quick. You get it. These bowlers want to win for the kids. It's not just for themselves. I mean, they know there's a lot of scholarship money on the line. These adult players, they're just bowling for pride out here today and helping the kids out. And sometimes you get that little extra pressure. You want to do well for your teammates, and it can happen to a PBA Player of the Year.
Great conversion. Mark always been a very good spare shooter, even though he doesn't shoot at as many as we do.
Yeah, you can't go out and average 220 on the Pro Tour back in the early 90s without being very good on your spare conversions. And now looking to start a victory lap here. Andy Mills looking for 4 in a row for his team, up by 58 pins. And he's left out of his hand as well and doesn't get the break that Mark McDowell got. He leaves the 7 to go.
We
The
saw
3-6-10.
Yeah, we saw that ball hockey stick shaped down lane, and Andy caught it all, as they say. And typically on this pattern, you don't really want to catch it all.
Well, right now, big enough lead. He'll probably give it a shot here. Get the show off a little bit. You're not going to hurt yourself. Still have a lead over 40 pins.
Not a common lead here for Andy, but I, strangely enough, had 2 of these back-to-back in our Flat Earth League last night.
And Andy only gets 2 on the conversion slides just behind the 3-pin. Did you make either of your 3, 6, 7, 10s, Joey?
Of course not. I think one I chopped the 3 off, the 3-6 off, and the other one just missed the 3-pin, trying to go a little further right.
Well, now it's just bowling for pride here for Team McDowell. As I mentioned earlier, only the second 300 game ever to be thrown in this tournament, the Baker format by Team McDowell in the semifinals right before TV. And Zach, a little over the top on that shot, but still a $600 scholarship team prize and a couple of hammer bowling balls going home for the youth players on Team McDowell. That's a pretty good afternoon's worth of work.
Good spare. I was going to say a good spare conversion, and it was a bad chop.
And
Not a great day for Zach.
no, and that one, it's now officially match over. Team Mills going to be taking home the $700 scholarship prize, a couple of hammer bowling balls for each of the team members, and the memory of bowling together. And Andy Mills, not that old. Andy only 26, only a few years older than Chad and Tyler, and I'm sure with Andy's experiences in collegiate bowling, I'm sure he'll share a few nuggets of wisdom. both those young men. They'll be going to college next year. You can always check out the latest specials at bpsmilwaukee.com. Joey, once again, we couldn't do these televised events like the Junior Hall of Fame without support of great sponsors like you. And got to come in and get those Christmas gift cards for your favorite bowler pretty soon.
My pleasure, Phil. And we also should thank Shannon Lubinsky, doing another great job this year, organizing this fine event, and all of her volunteers that help out.
Yeah, I just saw her husband Steven sit down in the back. He handled all the scratch division bowling today with Steve Mattia as well. And there's so many sponsors and so many volunteers. Roxanne George, Rochelle Roventini, Laura Mattia, Steve Mattia. I mean, Howie Graff, Debbie Graff. There's so many of them out there. I know I'm not remembering them all. And of course, the 89 adult players that came out here, volunteered their time to bowl with the kids. It's a great day for youth bowling, and for the 9th edition of this Junior Hall of Fame, we're looking forward to being part of the 10th anniversary of this event next year. And that's the shot you want to go off the sheet on as a winner for Chad Dembski.
Yeah, very good shot from Chad.
And once again, Toys for Tots. You know, it's an important cause here with the youth bowlers, getting them all the scholarship money, but there's a lot of youth out there that aren't going to have a pleasurable Christmas, no presents under the tree, without the help of the Marine Corps Reserve's Toys for Tots. You can't make it to Motion Plus Lanes on December 5th and 6th. Go to any Toys R Us, buy a toy, stick it in the donation bin, and you can help children and all across Wisconsin have a happy Christmas with the Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots. And Mark McDowell, what an effort by him today. Only one real errant shot under his time under the TV lights, and you know, even when these guys are off the Pro Tour for 20 years, the competitive juices are still there. He was looking for a win for himself and his junior players today.
Well, once a PBA champion and a USBC Open champion, always a champion. As he falls off that shot a little bit, but the ball still goes high flush, which is a testament to his arm swing and release. So even when his balance isn't perfect, the other elements of his game are. And it recovered.
Yep, and it just sat up in the pocket, 10 back. Didn't look very different from most of his strikes he's thrown out here today.
And knowing Mark, he'll make sure he sticks this landing and does not fall to the right.
5 steps, the
as he
shoulders.
does perfectly. Finishes right behind the 8. Great finish.
159 only for Team McDowell that second game, but
Seemed like it should have been a lot higher than 159. They had a bunch of strikes, 6 of them to be exact.
yeah, they had one spare. Mark had the only spare for his team. 6 strikes, 1 spare, but unfortunately 4 opens in there. 5 opens. Yeah, tough to stay competitive against a hot team like Andy Mills' team here, and he wants to go out strong as well. Possible 220 for his team if he can go off the sheet. And smiles all around, and even smiles you can see back there. Matt Cherney and Zach Hansen, even though they're going away with second place, they beat 22 other tough teams out here today in this Junior Hall of Fame tournament. And even Mark McDowell's keeping the guys loose a little bit on the bench as it's done. So once again, all the volunteers, everybody that bowled today here at the Junior Hall of Fame tournament, thanks for being a part of this great event. High fives all the way around. And Joey, thanks for the commentary again today. We're going to let Andy Mills throw his last shot here. And Joey and I will be back to wrap up the show from AMF Bowlero in just a couple of minutes. Make sure you stay tuned.
Live, on demand, worldwide, Extra Frame is always on. It's the online bowling channel. Watch live qualifying rounds and match play from every PBA Tour stock and every PBA 50 Tour event on your big screen, PC, mobile phone, or tablet. Archived nationally televised shows and content is available 24/7. Extra Frame is always on. Subscribe now at www.extraframe.tv.
providing premier equipment sales and services to Wisconsin bowlers since 1973. Check out our Wall of Fame and our current specials at bpsmilwaukee.com. Well, Joey, after the first 3 frames of the semifinal match, looking at Team Mills, couple opens in there by Tyler Sheehy, Chad Dembski, you were thinking, oh, this one might be done early, but they got their act together, came back with that 279 in the second game of the semifinals, and just kept it pretty much clean in the championship match and took home this Junior Hall of Fame title.
Right. I mean, it proved it's a team effort. It's not just a one-man show, and they all 3 bowled great today.
Another bunch of champions added to this Junior Hall of Fame roster. Next year will be the 10th edition. Looking forward to coming back and covering that. But our next tournament coming up here on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, one of my favorites of the year, the Action Heating Shootout. Get through the wild card match if you're lucky, make that Final Four, and it's 4 bowlers, 1 game for that top prize. And there's always exciting action when it comes to a tournament at Motion Plus Lanes.
And a number of quality bowlers we're going to see, some for the first time.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So join us at Motion Plus Lanes for that. If you have any Christmas gift needs for any bowlers in your family or friends, see Joe Serrar at Bowlers Pro Shop down on Howell Avenue. For my friend Joe Serrar, I'm Phil Bridlow. Parents, take the kids bowling. They'll have fun for life. And we'll see you on that next show coming to you from Motion Plus Lanes in Cudahy.
Ow.